Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan, and I am with Paycom and have been working with your HR team to get Paycom up and going as your new payroll and HR provider. And what I'm going to do today is give you just like a 15-minute training video on some of the basics of how to clock in and do some basic functions in your Paycom app. Now, what I am showing you today is technically on a desktop. You are able to log in to your Paycom app. Obviously, through the App Store, you are also able to access it through a desktop. I would recommend the app. Anything that I show you today on the desktop can be done on the app and vice versa. So you can choose whichever one you want. I personally use the app. I think as a personal employee user, it's a little bit easier to use. But just for the sake of having to present to so many people, I will be using the desktop today. So you should have received your login information this past Friday. That should have came to you via email. And what I will have you do is either download the Paycom app or go to paycom.com and click this login button, and you're going to want to log in as an employee. Now, this is where you will enter that information that you got via email. So it's going to be your username, your password, and then you will put the last 4 digits of your social security number right here. And then you will click login. Something to note is that your username will be like a random compilation of letters and numbers, so it won't be an email this first time that you get logged in. Once you get logged in, a couple of things that it will ask you your first time upon logging in is to reset your password. It's also going to ask you to set some security questions, and then it will ask you your year-end tax preference. So this would be for 2024. But end of year 2024, do you want paper W-2s or would you be okay with an electronic version? So it will prompt you to answer those questions. But once you get logged in, this is what your screen will look like right here. Now, if you're on the mobile app, bear with me for just one moment. It will probably look something like this with all of these tabs. Again, you can do the same information that we do today. On the mobile app, it will just look in a little bit of a different format. So the main items I'm going to be covering today, the first is how to clock in and clock out. So there are going to be 2 separate ways that you can clock in and clock out. The first one, if you are hourly, here under this time management button, you will have a web time clock. Another way that you can access this is this little clock right here in red. You should be able to click on that. You can use that to punch as well. But I will go ahead and click on this web time clock. And then here, I would be able to select a location and then clock in for the day. One thing to note, if you are working in your normal location, you do not need to select a location. It will default to your regular location. You would only need to select this if you're working somewhere outside of your regular location. If you are working outside of your regular location, go ahead and select that and then just press this End Day button. And then we're good to go. I have officially clocked in for the day. Now, let's say I come back at a later time. I need to clock out for a break, out for lunch, or out for the day. So it predicts our next punch here. So you can choose whichever option best fits you. So if you just need to clock out for lunch, you're able to do so there. Or if it's the end of the day, you need to clock out for the day, you can also do so there. If you are working in a different location and you selected one of these, you only have to select that on your clock in. You do not have to select it for the rest of the punches. Once you clock in with that location, it ties to the rest of the punches in that sequence. So again, this is for our hourly employees. You will be clocking in using this web time clock on your phone. This comment down here is optional, so you do not have to leave a comment there if you do not want to. Now, if you are salaried and you occasionally pick up hours, those stipend hours, you will have access to what we call a web timesheet. Under this web timesheet, you will only have the option here. Bear with me, this is a training account I work with, but you will only have the option here to add hours. This is where you would add those hours where you're working for that stipend. So let's say I worked on the 11th, and let's say I worked 5 hours. I would be able to add hours here. Now, you will not have this location listed below. And then you will have a pay code defaulted in here that will be called secondary position. So the only thing that you will need to do is press the days and then the amount of hours and then click add hours. And that will be paid in addition on your paycheck. So again, under time management, salaried employees, you will have this web timesheet where you are able just to click add hours and add those stipend hours onto your time card. You won't have these other options here. You will just have that web timesheet. Now, switching back, if you are hourly, let's say for some reason you forgot a punch in or out. It happens. You forget punches sometimes. We have what we call a web timesheet read only. So on this web timesheet read only, it will show you all of your punches right here. And now this is where you're able to request a new punch if for some reason you are missing one. So let's say it looks like on Friday the 24th, I missed my out day punch. I would be able to click on these little question marks right here and submit a new punch. So let's say I did clock out for the day at 5 p.m. I would be able to add that request. And then that request goes straight to my supervisor to either approve or deny. Supervisors or managers will no longer be able to edit your time card for you. So if you truly do miss a punch, you need to go to this timesheet, read only. You can either click on the question marks or click on an existing punch, or you can request a brand new one. And it's going to ask what type of punch, were you in for the day, were you out for the day? And it will ask for some basic information there, and then you are able to add the request. A notification gets sent to your supervisor when you have submitted that, and then they will be able to approve. Once they approve, it goes into effect immediately on your time card. So again, you can either request a brand new punch if you completely forgot a punch like I did on the 24th, or let's say on Tuesday the 28th, you really got in at 6 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. and you just accidentally clocked in late. You would be able to click on that existing punch, and you can see here it's requesting a punch edit. So I can request to move this time back to 6 a.m. Let's say I clocked in late. And then I can add that request. You can also request for a punch to be deleted. So if for whatever reason you have an extra punch sitting on here, if you click on the punch itself, there's a request delete button here at the bottom. This button right here with the exclamation point and the arrows just lets you know that there is a punch change request submitted for that specific punch that's waiting to be approved. So just to summarize, hourly employees, you're clocking in and out on this web time clock, and you go to this web timesheet read only to look at your time and to request a new punch if need be. If you've missed a punch, submit that punch change request. Salaried employees, you just have access to this web timesheet where you're able to add those stipend hours onto your time card for the specific times and days. You also have a punch change request dashboard. This would be for our hourly employees, or you're able to see all of the punch change requests you currently have submitted to be approved. So that's probably the biggest change, is just you all needing to manage your own time card, getting used to submitting those punch change requests. We also will have you request time off in Paycom. Now, something to note is that your previous balances from last year will not be loaded until January 1st. So if you go in there right now and do not see your full balance, please do not panic. We are getting those loaded in, and those should be available on or around January 1st. One other thing to note is that if you have requested time off for 2024 and it's been approved in your previous system in IPS, we will have you request that time off again here in Paycom. And HR will be reaching out to you about that just to ensure we get all of those time off requests in. But here under time off requests, you should have a request time off button. It's very simple to use. It will pull up a calendar here. And then you are able to either add a time off request or click this plus sign on the calendar. And then you are able to request time off. It will ask you for hours per day, and you can extend it over multiple days and even exclude weekends. So if you want to stretch it, let's say from the 11th to the 19th, but we want weekends to be excluded, it would take that into account because of this checkbox. All you need to do is just submit that request. You can see that populates in yellow on your on your calendar, and then that goes straight to your supervisor to be approved. Once your supervisor approves it, it will populate in green here on this calendar, and you will also get a notification. So overall, this is pretty easy to use. You're able to see your time off balances under here as well. One other thing to note that I forgot to mention is that you start clocking in with Paycom on this app on December 18th. So that's just the date to keep in mind. December 18th is when you will be able to start clocking in and out via this app. Under this time off request calendar, you do have this button to turn on to see other people's requests. It's just this little bubble here that you have to enable, and then it would show you other people's requests for whatever month that you are on. So that's something to note too. You don't have to use that, but that is an option. Here under information, I won't spend a ton of time here. The main thing to note is that you have access to all of your information here. So if you have an address change or a contact information change, you can go and you need to update those items yourself in this system. You know your information best, and so we want you to update that information. But the main thing I want to draw your attention to is this change password or username. You might have noticed that username was a random compilation of letters and numbers. And so you are able to change your username here. You are able to change it to a valid email address. But that way, it's just easier for you to remember. It will not let you change your username until you have verified your email address. So that's something to note. If it's not letting you, check up in this notification bubble because it will have you verify your email address. This notification bubble up here on the right is phenomenal. It tells you anything outstanding that you need to get done in the system. So we'll cover a lot today, but I want you to know that if nothing else, make sure that you go in, check this notification bell. This will tell you everything that you need to do. It will let you know if you need to verify your email address, if you need to complete a checklist, if you need to approve a check, whatever it might be. This notification bell is kind of your catch-all. So here under information, like I said, we changed our username, but feel free, look around there. It's pretty easy to navigate overall, and you are able to update any of your address and contact information if need be. Here under payroll, we have a couple of things that I would like to touch on. Probably the most important is what we call approve my check. So what approve my check is, you will get a couple of days before you get paid a notification that you have a check to approve. What this will do is this will break down your paycheck to the cent for you to approve and look at. So I have a fake one pulled up in here. So yours will be sent, our first payroll with Paycom is in January. So you will get a notification around probably January 1st or 2nd that you have a check to approve. It will be in this notification bell, so you can go there to find it, or you can go here under payroll. And you can see it breaks it down by earnings, taxes, deductions, reimbursements. And then you are able to approve this check if it looks good to go. What this does for us, if it is a second set of eyes on this check, we want to make sure that you get paid on time and correctly. And so we need your help verifying this information, even if you're salaried. I will tell you, Paycom uses this feature, and I am salaried. I go in and approve my check every 2 weeks. And there was one time that I did catch a tax that was incorrect on my check. And I was able to get that adjusted before my paycheck rather than afterwards and having to deal with retro payments. So we ask, please go in here and approve your check. Just make sure it looks good to go. You will get paid no matter if you approve your check or not. That's a question I get quite a bit. But we would just ask that you approve it just for that extra form of verification. We want to make sure everything looks good. If you do have a question, you can see we have something called Ask Here at the bottom. And you are able to ask a question right through this portal. And this gets sent straight to your HR team through Paycom. That way, they can answer that question here through Paycom. It's all housed in one area, and we are able to get that resolved for you. You can also, that Ask Here function that I mentioned, where you can ask questions and they go straight to your HR, you can access that here up above in this question mark within the comment box. That's another place where you're able to create a new message. It'll have you select a category and a couple of other items. And then you were able to submit this. Like I said, it will go straight to your HR team, and then they will respond to you. When they respond to you, you will get an email notification letting you know there's been a new Ask Here response, and you're able to log in, see what they've responded, and keep messaging back and forth. So again, that's called Ask Here. You can access it right up here at the top right. Or when you're going to approve your check, if you have a question, you can go right here to Ask Here as well. The last item that I wanted to cover today is that in this notification bell, you should have an employee verification checklist that you see. You won't have quite as many tasks up here in your notification bell as I do. But what this employee verification checklist is, this is a way for us, again, to verify all of your address and contact information, direct deposit, and tax setup. With the flow of so much information from one system to another, we just want you all to go in and make sure everything looks good to go. So this checklist will bring you through everything that you need to. You can click start on each task. But again, this is just an extra form of verification. We want to make sure everything looks good in the system, so we do ask you to complete this. Again, you can find this under the notification bell or right here if you go to my checklist. Either way, you would be able to find that. It should have been assigned to you. It's called an employee verification checklist. So just to summarize for you all will start clocking in with Paycom on Monday, December 18th. You will be clocking in using the app. On January 1st, your time off request balances will be loaded in. So you will see an updated balance in your app at that time. We ask that you complete the employee verification checklist up here in this bell icon. And then you should get a notification January 1st or January 2nd that you have a new check to approve. And we do at that time ask that you go in and just take a look at that check. Again, it'll tell you down to the cent what you will get paid on that Friday. Just take a look at that and make sure that looks good to go. If you have any questions, you can always submit it through this Ask Here portal, and we will get back to you. Your HR team will get back to you on there. Overall, the Paycom app is similar to any other app that you use. It's fairly easy to navigate. So feel free, look around in here. You can look at your information in here. You have full access to see all of your own information. And we will be, of course, here to answer any questions. We will be sending out some guides on this information as well. But the most important thing, make sure you get clocked in and clocked out, submit any punch change requests if you miss any punches. But besides that, I have covered everything that I've needed to. So I will not take up any more of your time, but I appreciate you watching.